Immediately after the President declares a disaster, FEMA workers arrive at the designated facility and set up a joint field office or JFO to coordinate the recovery effort. A toll-free telephone number is announced for affected residents to register for assistance. Then, disaster recovery centers, or DRCs, are opened in central locations so disaster survivors can use telephones to call in to register for assistance, meet with program representatives, and obtain information about available aid and the recovery process.
You're going to call that 1-800 number. They're going to take that application when you first dial. There's going to be a prompt. They're going to read the Privacy Act. They're going to give you a website, and then you're going to speak to a real person.
The first step for an applicant in applying for disaster assistance is registering with FEMA either by phone or the internet. The registration is handled by a National Processing Service Center, or NPSC. When applying for disaster assistance, the following PII is collected: full name, current and damaged dwelling address, social security number, household income, telephone number, and if applicable, bank routing and account numbers. A registration number is assigned and the file becomes part of the disaster recovery assistance files. After registration, there are several ways in which FEMA staff interacts with disaster applicants, either to collect or verify personal information. The 1-800 helpline number is available for applicants to call with any questions about their application for assistance. Every time an applicant calls the helpline, the first step is to verify his or her identity.
To complete this interview, you're going to need your social security number, your gross household income, addresses, and phone numbers. Do you have that information? Great. Okay, let's get started.
While assisting in registration or helpline inquiries, it is important to reassure applicants that their PII will be protected under the Privacy Act.
A FEMA employee, when taking an application over the phone, should confine the conversation to just that applicant.
As much as you want to help those in need, remember to only ask for the required information. You're not there to give home repair advice, exchange recipes, or discuss the latest movie. At the DRC, Applicant Services meet with applicants to discuss claims and handle any questions. Applicant Services consists of full-time FEMA employees and local residents hired by FEMA to assist with the recovery efforts following a disaster. Again, with every interaction with an applicant, these staff people need to confirm the identity of the applicant and protect that information. If a disaster applicant needs temporary housing, a pre-placement interview is conducted. This involves collecting additional personal information from the applicant. This information is stored in a specific housing operation database within NEMIS. After an applicant has registered for assistance, FEMA Inspection Services visit the applicant's residence to inspect damage for the claim.
Yes,
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah, this is Jim with FEMA. Came out to do the quality control inspection. We set up an appointment this morning.
Yes.
After the inspector identifies himself and shows FEMA ID, the inspector then asks for proof of the applicant's identity and residence. This is done by driver's license, mortgage statement, utility bill, home or car insurance record. The inspector enters this information into a palm pad, and that data is updated on the NPSC database. After the inspector reviews the damage and takes photos of the residence, the applicant signs the FEMA Declaration and Release Form. This includes the Privacy Act's language and defines the routine uses or exceptions of the Privacy Act regarding disaster assistance. By signing this form, the applicant acknowledges that they understand the type of PII collected and the purposes for which it may be shared to third parties. However, this form is not a blanket consent form for the applicant's PII to be disclosed. It is important to know how and where FEMA Disaster Assistance collects and manages information. After a disaster is declared, FEMA sets up a joint field office to coordinate assistance efforts and a disaster recovery center to provide face-to-face assistance to disaster survivors. The application process takes place over the telephone or via the internet. Every time an applicant has contact with FEMA personnel, identity verification must take place. FEMA will inspect the applicant's damaged dwelling and have them sign the FEMA Declaration and Release Form that acknowledges their understanding of the Privacy Act, what information may be collected, and how it may be used. The FEMA Declaration and Release Form is not a blanket consent form.